All right, good morning. Welcome to our historical weapons program for this Monday morning. We are working on the Tai Chi Saber set from the Yang system, and we have gotten a good ways into a couple of first passes. And last week, we were starting to look at this potential sort of rising, driving thrust, and we're going to get into one of the first places where we're going to exchange the sword into the opposite hand, into that non-dominant hand, like we did at the beginning of the set. Okay, let's get ourselves warmed up just a little bit here. Let the head rise and fall a couple of times. And then we're looking from side to side. And ear from shoulder to shoulder. The shoulders can go back. And shoulders can go forward. Arms can circle one way and the other. We're going to reach and lean to one side and to the other. Again to the first side and the second. And we'll just warm up the trunk a little, let those arms go nice and loose and wrap around the body. And let's go to shoulder stretch. So we'll pull that arm across. And same on the other side. And over the head and pull. And same on the other side. And then behind the back and pull. And same on the other arm. Yeah, and we can shake it out a little bit and we'll warm up the hips around one way. And around the other. One more time the first way. And the second. Yeah, circle your wrists around one way. And around the other. And then fingers, palm and pull. And same on the other side. And then pushing in on the wrist. And same on the other arm. Yeah, a little bit open and close. Okay, so before we put the weapons in hand today, one of the things we're seeing in this newest pass that we're working on the set is we're starting to see a hook, fall over here, a hook step position where we're stepping out. And this can be a difficult position. A lot of people find it can be kind of aggravating on the knees. So one of the things we have to remember with this is we're not just trying to turn the foot out and leave the hip where it is. One of the things we're trying to do here is load and settle into that crease of the hip. One of the uses for this outside footwork, one, is stomp kicking or trapping of feet. But two, it also quite often sets us up so we can step out into the lateral, or it sets up a sequence of kicking inside a foot and kicking with the front foot. So we've got this sort of 1, 2 kind of motion. In our piece of this, we're going to end up kind of pressing with the palms, and then here comes that knee or kick before we step out and into the next technique. But what you want to watch for when you're working on this is we're not looking to really torque the knee and shove it across in front of the toes. You want a nice and gentle feeling of turn open the foot, turn the pelvis, and then draw in and fold into that hip. So we're not pushing forward with this, so our knee is driving forward. We're pulling it back underneath us. Just something to keep in mind when we're working on those stepping patterns. Okay, let's grab up our swords for today. Back to the willow leaf again. So let's start out today, though, instead of working on cuts, let's start out working on this rested position. We haven't done this in a little while as part of our warm-up. So what I'm going to get you to do is go out, up, in, down. You want to feel like that sword rests nicely in the crook of your arm. So it's kind of balanced and you're pulling. So we get that feeling of being able to kind of just roll and connect to that sword being in the arm. Now, what I'm going to get you to start thinking about here is pulling down and pulling down. So we're going to see a version of shoot the tiger, but we're going to do that shoot the tiger with the sword in that non-dominant arm and draped inside. So we've got nice continuous circles. And we could also take that the other way, where we're reaching out. We're gathering up. We're reaching out. We're going to see this as well. Gather and reach. Gather and reach. So we're going to have this ability to go one way and the other way, as well as down and down, down and down. So these are going to be important skills to feel comfortable with for our next section of the set. Okay, from there, let's go to transfer. And for a second, what I want you to do is just kind of think about resting that sword sort of around the elbow bend in a way that it kind of stick to that, or on the forearm. So just get a sense of, and then roll through so you get the palm of your hand. Think about pushing. You can work your way along the length of the sword from close to out. So a lot of times we get these ones where we're kind of coming in and then we're pushing and extending. So let's focus on that for our horizontals today. So we're going to cut across. We want to feel like we can balance and then brace the wrist, transfer to the sword, push open. 1, 2, 3. So I want you to come up so you got that sandwich position, then to the rest position, and then to the push. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Okay, we'll switch that over to the non-dominant, and 1, a little harder to do. 2, we won't worry about this one too much with the resting. We're not doing that in the set. Let's get some strength in that left arm. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Okay, so let's go to the dominant arm. Now, one of the things we haven't been talking about in our cuts is in a lot of this work, we're going to use that in the double-edged sword. We had the gim hand where we had the fingers wrapped up, but now we're going to be using this sort of cutting edge, this knife edge. And what we're going to do is we're going to place this on the wrist today. So we're going to work our downwards diagonals, but I want you to try to keep your non-dominant arm with the fingertips kind of working on the wrist. So you're kind of pressing a little bit on that wrist. So 1, 2. So we've got a reinforced kind of feeling here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Let's take that to the non-dominant side. So again, we're kind of supporting, we're helping to push with that other hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Back to the dominant arm. And we're going to come up from underneath. 1. Again, we've got that support. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. We'll go with a non-dominant arm and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Okay, let's continue in terms of strength. Let's work a little bit on our wrist. So again, we're going to use this touch position. And we're going to keep that hand kind of rested and working on our wrist as we do our rollovers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Same on the non-dominant arm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Back to the dominant arm, coming up from underneath. 1, 2, try and work the wrist as much as possible. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, non-dominant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Okay. Hopefully, over the months of working on this, the arms and the wrists and the forearms have picked up the strength to feel comfortable with the weapon, but also getting that mobility in there as well and feeling comfortable with those edge angles. So let's take a look at thrusting, because we've got an interesting thrusting technique that we're going to be working on coming up in the next part of the set. So one of the thrusts we started with initially was with that tip facing forward, and we thrusted in, and then we turned that sideways, and we drove out. And the first time we did this, we had the hand sort of parallel, and we were kind of driving that in. Now, the next time we saw that one, the same thing. We sort of deflected and then we thrusted, but the other time we raised the hand up. So we've got either this low kind of press, and so we're getting this feeling, much like we're talking about with bracing the non-dominant hand against the wrist to help with techniques. Sometimes this, you can kind of feel if you kind of press that other hand away or up, it helps to connect the body as a whole. So you're kind of pushing and creating pung as we slide through. So we have this slide in. The next kind of thrusting technique we got was where we kind of had that sword down, but we chopped, or we actually brought it around, and then we thrust it. So we can either thrust and leave the tip facing the ground, or the edge, sorry, the spine facing the ground. So we had this like turn over and thrust, turn over and thrust. And then we had the version where we turned it over and we thrust till the edge faces the ground. So we could turn it over, thrust edge up. We could turn it over and spiral edge down. Let's do a few of those. So 1, edge up. 2, edge down. 1, edge up. 2, edge down. Now notice what we're doing at the same time. We're using that spine, that low wall we talked about near the beginning, creating those walls. Then we turn it over and we thrust either with the edge up or we turn it over for that edge down. 2 more. 1, edge down. 2, edge up. Last ones. 1, edge up, edge down. 2, edge up. Okay, so our next thrust that's coming up in the set is actually going to be that same kind of low thrust that we did, that we turned to make sort of parallel to the ground. We're going to continue and come right up and underneath. So we're kind of like a pivot here. We're dropping the handle and driving the tip up and underneath. So we have this drive through and upwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Good. Now, as they would say in late night television, don't buy now, there's more. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up from underneath and we're going to continue that right over our shoulder. We're going to come up to that sandwich kind of position and we're going to transfer the sword into the non-dominant arm. So I'm going to go thrust, over, pick up. Thrust and transfer. So now I've got it rested in that arm like we did at the beginning of class. So we go up and transfer. Up and transfer. A couple more to get that feeling. Up and transfer. This hand becomes free. Up, transfer, lift, and kick. So we are going 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is where we're going to leave it for today. So this is going to be part of our new section. So we're going to go under, collect, kick with shin, strike with palm. One, two, three. So we're kind of opening these away from each other. Boom, boom, and out. So remember how we are resting that in the arm and being able to circuit that around. Once we get it in our arm, we're opening that arm up. We're hitting down and we're kicking. Then we're going to step in and palm. 2 more times for that one. So we've driven up from underneath. We're transferring. We're kicking. We're striking with the palm. And that sword is kind of rested along the arm and back. Okay, looking at our time, let's go through the set. And I'm going to introduce you to the newer pieces, and then we will go through the set a couple times, and then we'll detail a little bit more on that new stuff. So we're starting out with the sword at the side. We've got reach out and press down. So there's that cradled work in the arm as we step out. We pivot on the right foot, reach, cut up from underneath, and stomp. Step through, bump, brush, collect, right hand overhead, and then here comes our transfer. So there's that resting on the forearm we were just doing. Lift left, step in, low horizontal cut, transfer to the palm deflection. There's our first thrust with the hand out to the side. Rising diagonal cuts in. We step out with our low reinforced wall. We maintain that wall low as we step back, and we bring that wall up high and we press it out high. Now bring the sword over the head, right leg rises, step and chop with left. Circle under, step and rising cut, roll back. Here's our step through to that reinforced rising cut on the 45. Draw that in, press that over the head. Here comes that high thrust work. So we're stepping, there's the hook stance where we're settling in, we're crossing the arms, we're thrusting out, we're going to turn over, edge down. Then we're going to palm press. We're going to roll back to deflect. Here comes our next hook stance. Hook stance and palm press. Brush and chop. Good. Hold on 1 second here. I'm mixing sections on you. Sometimes when I talk, it all disappears. Brush and chop. So we're going to roll and over to the side. And here's where we get that turn, chop, and step palm strike. Deflect and parry. This is where we thrust with the hand over the head with that side thrust. We draw back to collect. We push forward and pung. We turn, chop down, and palm strike. We deflect, roll out, brush and thrust. Draw in, press out. Last time, we're going to turn, chop down, lift up the right, and step in palm strike. And again, we roll back, deflect, brush. Now we're going to thrust by coming up with the edge down. So here's one of those edge down, palm up thrusts to the front. So we're going to go thrust out, settle bump, roll over. And remember this from last week, we pulled back. Then we're going to thrust up from underneath, cradle the sword. Here's that new work. Kick and out. So we're going to go boom and out. Okay, let's try it again. See if I can not let my mind get wandering as I talk lefts and rights here. So 1 and 2, stepping out, pivot, lift, and in, stomp, step, present. Brush and gather, cradle change, lift left, step, cut low, deflect, and brush, thrust, cut in, deflect to the 45. Step back, sword goes low, rises high with the crane, and presses out. Underneath, right leg up, left leg chop. Underneath, cut through, draw back. Step, reinforced, draw in, press out, turn, cradle, and thrust. Palm strike. Roll back, deflect, settle palm, brush, chop, low wall, press, turn, chop down, step through palm strike, roll back, deflect, brush, and thrust. This time left hand goes up high, cut horizontal, press with pung. There's that settling on the arm we were talking about, and chop down, palm strike, roll back, deflect, brush and thrust, horizontal cut and press, palm with palm. One more turn and draw, lift and through, stir that pot. Now this time we step through. We're going to reach out a little bit like parry and uppercut with the empty hand, and we're going to thrust up. We're then going to use the back of the sword to deflect. We're in a pung position in our hook stance. Around and drape. Now we're cradling the hand to the hip. We come through and we're in cat or empty. Then we're going to thrust up from underneath and transfer. Where we go, kick and palm. Nice. Okay, kind of run out of time for today, but let's go through that last section just a little bit here. So after our last cut down palm, we had our deflect and thrust. We pulled in and we bumped. what is with my brain today? And bumped. Let's do one more. So we turn, chop down, deflect. And now this time, let's try this one. I'll face the other way here. We're going to thrust up, deflect, and fill, roll over, and through, and up from underneath, and kick, and palm. Then we'll be getting into our shoot the tiger section. Okay, I know that was a lot I threw at you. Don't worry, we'll come back to that. We're not going to jump into shoot the tiger too soon. We want to get a little bit more comfortable with that section that we were just looking at. Okay, we'll let it go for today. Thanks for training hard. Okay. If you got questions or details, I know there's a fair amount I threw at you. Text or email. I'll bring it to the next lesson, or we'll talk about it right now. Talk to you soon.